Hi guys, I'm Desiree from Hearts and Pearls, and today I have a really touching story, and I'm so honored to have Brynn here with us. A few months back, I chose to take my business in a kind of new direction where I teamed up with other fundraisers and benefits and gave back a portion of our sales to help that cause. And we kicked it off with a personal story of my own that was close to home with my son who was diagnosed with leukemia. And it got me in contact with Brynn. And I just have to say that I'm so honored to know Brynn and know that there's a reason why we've met. From the moment that I heard her story and had the opportunity to meet with her. We've gotten together a couple times now, and I felt right away that Brynn was someone that I needed to meet, and I wanted her story to be heard. She's actually been on Dr. Phil and a few other shows, so for her to sit down with me and share her story that is so inspiring and uplifting, I feel so honored. And I mean, I told her when I first saw her picture that I'm like, how do I not know you? You're cute, you're blonde. And so we got a head wrap on her head, and she's sitting here with us. And so Brynn, as tough as it is, I want you to share with everybody who has not heard the story of, why we're even sitting here today. What happened? It was 2 years ago in September, so September 2014. Kind of paint that picture for us and tell us a little bit about your life then.
Well, it is a very hard story for me to tell, but in September 2014, I felt like I had pretty much a pretty great, amazing life. I had the career I wanted. Me and my husband had bought a home. We had a healthy son and a healthy daughter. And, we were kind of feeling on top of the moon with our lives at that time. And my son had started preschool, and it was his second week going into a private part-time preschool. And me and my friend had decided to share carpooling. And my son it wasn't a good transition for him. He had a very hard time adjusting to going to school, and he didn't want to get up. He wasn't a morning person. Honestly, neither am I. So one morning, me and my daughter had got up super early and made breakfast. I made a nice breakfast for the kids, and then we wake up brother and get him ready for school. And it honestly was such a great morning that day. My friend texted me as she was almost here and said, I'll be pulling down the driveway shortly. So I told her I'd have Wyatt ready and at the door. And he was ready for school, but he didn't want to go. And when she pulled up, we walked outside, and I shut the door, and I left my 17-month-old daughter, Rowyn, in the house. And I looked at her, and we have two windows on each side of my front door, and she was just looking at me and just watching us. And we walked down the sidewalk of my home to my friend Cassie's car, and my son was throwing a fit. And I mean, he's quite dramatic when he doesn't want to do something. So he was throwing his tantrum, and I realized I needed his booster seat. So I go, I told my friend, I'm going to run and grab his booster. So I had ran around and grabbed the booster out of my car and was headed back to her vehicle. Well, in the meantime, my son had ran back in the house, and he was hiding from me. He didn't want to come. So, then I feel bad. I'm making her late and her son late for school. So I went back to the house and grabbed my son, grabbed his backpack, had his booster in my hand. I had everything, juggled, and I tried to grab the door with my foot as I was walking out and close it, and it didn't latch. And I didn't notice at the time, but the door wasn't shut. And I started over. We walked to the car. I loaded my son in. He's still crying. He's still very upset. He didn't want to go to school. And my sole attention was just on him at that time. And me and Cassie spoke, and she had gotten back into the vehicle. And I had said, do you want me to just take him? I don't want you to deal with this the whole way to school. And she's like, no, she reassured me. We'd been good friends for a while, and our son were best friends. She's like, he will be fine, And it was really that fast. And I stood at the end of the sidewalk, and I gave my son a kiss, I love you, and was waving, and he was still crying, but I was waving to him as she started pulling forward in my driveway. And we didn't see my daughter had gotten out of the house. And as I said earlier, she was 17 months old, and she was tiny. She was only 23 pounds. Beautiful little blonde-haired angel. But I didn't see her get out of the house, and she was struck by the vehicle right in front of me. And when I saw her come out of the bottom of the vehicle, I looked at Cassie in the rearview mirror, like we made eye contact, and we both knew like what just happened. And I ran over as fast as I could and scooped her up. And it's every parent's worst nightmare, and it couldn't be true. I knew she was gone as soon as I picked her up. I could feel it. But of course you pray for a miracle, and we did everything we could to try to save her life, and Cassie did as well. And it was the worst day of my life, and I can say of Cassie's life too.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's hard to think of and totally grasp even how, having a daughter myself, something like that happening. But it's truly what your whole story and what you guys have done with it that is the reason why I wanted to sit down with you. And when I heard, the first question I think of is how, when you're going through something like that, and this is your really good friend, you had been friends for a while, and I might have thoughts of being upset at her, and my own responsibility in it. And you've healed, you've been healing a little bit. How did you forgive? How did you forgive Cassie? Because what you guys have now done together is incredible. And how did you begin to forgive yourself?
Well, it wasn't it almost felt fake when you're in that instance, but I didn't care about myself at that time. I did really blame myself, and I didn't look at Cassie as like, oh, you did this on purpose or anything. She was my friend, and I loved her, and I think the whole time she was waiting for me to be angry with her and never forgive her. And a few days after the accident, I actually had my family take me over to her house so I could tell her in person, look, I love you. I know you would never do this on purpose. And, you have a family too to take care of, and like, you can't let yourself just go. Because I know at that time in our lives, we were both so low that you didn't even care about living. Like, she was so bad and I was so bad, but I knew I had to tell her that this isn't your fault, like, I felt like I was the one that needed to take responsibility. How could I not have my daughter in my arms at that time? Or how could I not have been certain that the door shut? I was feeling more to blame. And obviously it's just a horrible accident, and it's been very hard for me to start to forgive myself. But at the end of the day, as time went on and I've started to heal my healing process, I know that like, I'm a mother too, and I still have a son to be a mom to, and a family and a husband, and they've given me so much support that I knew if I was ever gonna somewhat overcome this tragedy, that I had to, for my family and for Cassie, somewhat start healing and try to move forward, as hard as it is. And it took a while, but I just kept, praying about it and had the support of my family and friends, and that's what got me through.
Yeah, you know, hearing that 2 days after this devastating event, that in the depths of your own, depression and just total, I can't even imagine what you're going through, but for you, in the depth of that, to go to her house and reach out to her and be, you know, uplifting to her, it truly, truly shows what type of woman you are, you know?
Thank you.
You were going through your own thing and you're thinking, how can I help her? And that's just incredible. It's incredible, and it's one of the many reasons why I wanted to meet with you. You know, we're basing the series that we're going through on hope and people that we see as beacons of hope, and you are a beacon of hope. I'd love for you to share with everybody, you know, in that time that everything changed in an instant.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? What was it that just got you? Because I'm thinking of, you know, anybody that's going through a hard time right now. I mean, it's the holidays. We miss our loved ones that, you know, our parents that may have passed away, a child that we've lost, or whatever it may be, our home that burned down, or whatever we're going through. When you're in something like that, what would you tell someone else that's struggling, going through a hard time?
Mm-hmm. You know, one thing I've noticed after connecting with other families that have lost children or really close loved ones is we all grieve differently, and different things work better for some than others. But for me, my faith has been huge, and I just needed that. And I don't know how people that experience such a life-changing event that's a tragedy like that could get through it without it. I really just don't. I know that it saved me and my husband, and if anything, after the accident, a lot of people end in divorce or, you know, turn to drugs and alcohol, and there is a lot of demons that come out after you experience this tragedy. And I'm not going to say we didn't have our battles, but at the end of the day, I feel like our marriage has been stronger because we both turned to our faith and supported each other, and it's made the whole difference. And I can say too is when people are offering support and help, don't think that you can do it on your own. Take the help, because that was so hard for me to do too. Is, you know, I had so many people stopping by trying to offer food or, you know, helping any way they could, and you want to be strong and be like, oh, I'm fine, you know, I can do this. But when you're really facing such a hard struggle, especially losing a child, you really just need to take the help. Take the prayers, take the meals that go in the freezer, take people running errands for you, and rely on your friends and family, because you need a support system. You can't get through it by yourself. And I always considered myself a pretty strong person, but if I didn't have the backbone of everybody around me and my faith, there'd be no way that I could get through that tragedy. Yeah.
So after hearing of Brynn's story, you know, she loses her daughter in a horrible accident, and within 6 months, you and Cassie, you and your friend that were, you know, present at the event, got this idea. And I think this is incredible that in the depths of your pain, that you thought of a way that you could help and give back and honor your daughter. And Rowyn, this is a picture of Rowyn right behind us. She's, you know, blonde hair, curly blonde hair, just a doll. And share with everybody, I mean, I think it's a testimony, what you guys started just 6 months after this accident.
Well, so Cassie and I, you know, remained very close after the accident, and we always seemed to meet at the school when we would drop our boys off for preschool. And sometimes we would just sit in the car together and chat. I mean, for like an hour, and cry and pray and bond. And we knew right away that we wanted to honor Rowyn somehow. because my biggest fear is I don't want people to forget her. Like, she's so special. She's so powerful. And I know every parent says that about their kids, but I'm like, no, I can't. She cannot be forgotten. Like, what can we do to honor her life and to give back to the community? Because the community was so supportive to me and my family. And after just chatting, we were like, we could start like a sponsorship or a college fund. And we weren't quite won over by the topics that we were talking about. So we came up with Raise for Rowyn, and it kind of just came to me. Like, I knew somebody was telling me Raise for Rowyn, and it wasn't just raising funding, but it was raising spirits and hope. And I loved it because we could raise funding in so many different ways, And then we discussed what would our funding be for, and that was a really easy answer for me too. And I wanted it to be paying for funeral and mortuary expenses for lost children, because unfortunately it's a very hefty bill and it's very expensive and costly. And my community came together and raised so much money for us that it paid my daughter's funeral expenses, and that was just one less burden that you have to worry about at that time. And it made such an impact on me that I wanted to be able to do that for other families. And so that's how we came up with it. We were literally just sitting in the car together and asking God for direction, and what do we do from here? Like, you feel like you're starting over at life almost. And that's what we came up with.
It's incredible. I've gotten to meet Brynn and her team, and she has an incredible team, and they truly, one of the things I love about it is just the connection you guys have and how everybody is united in helping and giving back and for the same purpose. And each of them is positive, and it's in 2 years. So in September it was 2 years. I'm amazed at how much you guys have grown this and how many families you've been able to help. I went on your website, raiseforrowyn.org.
Yes.
And there's a page on there, and it's called Rowyn's Angels. And each family that they help out with the funeral expenses, they write a story on each of the children. And I mean, just reading some of those stories is, heartbreaking,
Oh, it is.
How many families have you guys been able to help?
Well, we are one away from 100, which it's hard because you don't want to celebrate that number, but it's a bittersweet feeling for us to say, wow, in less than 2 years, we've helped pay almost 100 children's funeral expenses. And it's so heartbreaking, but at the same time, it does help me feel some fulfillment that, like, I can make a difference for people, and hopefully I'm giving those families some hope to look forward to as well. And really, it does help me connect with these families, and they do tell me what a difference it makes in their lives, because when you're at the lowest of low, and anybody, can reach out in such a significant way and try to take off some of the burden for you, I think it really makes a difference in people's lives.
Yeah, it's incredible to me because your 17-month-old daughter, dies, and I think our natural way is to just get down and depressed and give up and let your marriage fall apart, and feel like you can't live on even for the son you still had, and just give up because it hurts so bad. And you made the choice, you realized where you could go, the depths of where this could take you, even the feeling of not wanting to live, and you made the choice of, I'm not going to allow this to happen. I'm going to make a choice to find a way to give back and bring hope. And I think that's the pivotal step for you, is you can sit in the agony, or you can find a way, some sort of a solution that can help bring hope to the situation. And it's a testimony to who you are. I went on your website and share a little bit about how how people can get involved, whether it's volunteering. I saw a spot that if a family is going through, has lost somebody, a child, and is wanting some assistance, or a family that could use some assistance, that they can go on your website.
Yes. Exactly. So most of our information is found on our website, raiseforrowyn.org, and we have a application process. It's pretty simple. It's one page where we just ask some questions about funeral arrangements and stuff. We try to directly just call and pay for expenses through the funeral homes. That way the parents aren't dealing with being on the phone with us and stuff like that. So you can request assistance on our website. You can also make a donation on our website. We have a donate now button, and so people can go on and simply donate that way. You can also mail us a check. We have a lot of people that still do it that way. And all of our information and contact info is on the website. We also have a Facebook page. We have a lot of people that reach out via Facebook, and it seems to be a good way for us to connect with people, because me and my team all have access to it, so we can somebody can usually quickly respond and give back some information for people if they're having questions, and even just for moral support. So I stay in contact with a lot of the families that we've helped through Facebook Messenger or email.
Yeah.
And even some texting, but just to, connect with them so they know that they're not alone. Like, there is other families, and I try to connect the families to each other.
That's awesome.
Because it's like a big support system, that we've got to rely on each other when we're in our lows. And it even goes clear to, Texas. I conversed with a gal in Texas pretty much for the last 2 years. She lost her son right around the same time that I lost my daughter. And it's amazing how that bond, I've never met her a day in my life, but just that bond of that we've lost a child. And we talked during the holidays. It's nice to know that I can offer that support for people, and I've relied on her or other families for sometimes when I need it too.
It's incredible. So there's so much that in your guys' idea that started in just 6 months in, that what it's grown to today, and how it not only gives back financially, but like you said, raising spirits for people and finding ways to give back. You guys also have some gear on your site, Raise for Rowyn gear, that's honors Rowyn. And then I'm very intrigued by this. You guys have a book.
Yes, we do.
And tell me about it. Did you write the book? And that's awesome.
So Cassie and I still don't know how we did it, but we really felt like we needed to share our story, and we wrote a book, Life of an Angel, and it's everything. It's before the accident, it's the whole accident itself, and then what has transpired after the accident and where we are now. It talks about us, starting our foundation together, and it's real and it's raw. It's a great read, but it's a hard read.
I bet.
But I think it can really help people that are going through loss, and it really shows how dark of a time that we were both experiencing, and then what has manifested from just having faith and support, and what we've grown from our charity. And it's really amazing that we wrote it. I never had any plans in my past of writing a book, but now we did. So it alternates chapters. One is hers, one is mine. And
these are on the website as well?
No, we actually don't have those for sale on our website, but they are for sale at barnesandnobles.com.
Okay.
And amazon.com.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to get one of these.
Oh, good.
Yeah. It's awesome. I want to hear, I know the story, but I want to read this because I think it will give me more insight into just your family and how you guys have moved through this and continued on and haven't let it get you down and stop you. But now you're doing huge things for so many people. And obviously this gives back to your cause too, and helping someone else. So, this is what's incredible to me. Through Ron and I's own, devastation and heartbreak of finding out Vanny was diagnosed with leukemia in August, and we posted our first video that was hitting off this series of bringing hope, and in a time of devastation, I get this message about her story, and she's just an hour away from me, and that now I get to sit down with you and connect, and as a woman business owner that has a huge desire to give back and try to find ways to help. I talked to Brynn and her team about this earlier, and so spring 2017, we have decided to partner, and a portion of our sales from our spring 2017 line will go back to Raise for Rowyn, and I hope that we can help you and help the other families. We also are going to help in designing a headband for Rowan, and
so fun.
Hopefully you can design it. We can just create your vision, and hopefully people can. We can put some on your side and put some on mine, but just another way to give back and team up and partner up. And it is through, you're still living through this, and you're still feeling like we talked earlier today. She looked at me. I had asked her before the tapes played about forgiving herself, and she just looked at me and she said, "But I haven't completely forgiven myself." And I just looked at her and said, "That's okay." I think in something like this, it's hard to completely just say, "I've forgiven myself." It's a daily battle, but I think that you're doing so much to heal, and it brings me back to when this does not compare to what you're going through. Brings me back to when I was pregnant with Hartley, and I was scared and I wanted to have an abortion. I made an appointment for an abortion, and God intervened and put me in contact with a couple that had an abortion 20 years prior, and said, the only way that we've been able to heal and make it through this is to share our story with others. So I see that as you, that the only way that you're able to really truly heal is to share your story with others. And it's just incredible how you've done that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sitting down with me and being open and sharing your story. I wish you the best. You're already doing huge things, and I can't wait to hear what 2017 brings for you guys. They are growing at a fast rate, and
we are. It's hard to
and it's awesome. I just love it. So thanks again, Brynn.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.